हमारे इंडस्ट्री में जो न्यू कमर्स आ रहे हैं या आते हैं वो इनिशियल स्टेज पे सबसे बड़ी गलती क्या कर रहे हैं?
There is a nervousness or there is an impulse to change jobs quickly. If you've joined a place, it takes time, about couple of years, 3 years. So don't be in a hurry, move to a new opportunity.
HM के प्रोफेशनल्स हैं जो भी इंडस्ट्री ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं कि एक ऐसा स्किल कि सर इसके बिना वो हमारी इंडस्ट्री में सर्वाइव ही नहीं कर पाएंगे।
आपका वैल्यू सिस्टम ठीक होना चाहिए एंड अ पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड। बॉडी लैंग्वेज सिखाई जा सकती है, लैंग्वेज वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स डेवलप किए जा सकते हैं, एटीट्यूड इज हार्ड टू चेंज। सो आई थिंक इफ यू हैव दोज टू एलिमेंट्स, दे आर नॉट एसेंशियली स्किल्स, बट आई थिंक इफ यू हैव दोज टू, एवरीथिंग एल्स कैन बी वर्कड अपॉन। All our interns, they go abroad. They would put down money to get a J1 and work in US because you know what kind of money you would recoup everything that you have spent, and you'll come back with money depending upon the overtime that you were able to do.
आप तो यूएसए की बात कर रहे हैं सर। कंट्रीज लाइक मालदीव्स, मॉरिशियस, दुबई, बहरीन, दे पे सो वेल टू आवर इंटर्न्स कि मुझे लगता है कि हमारे यहाँ पे जो क्वालिटी ऑफ इंटर्न्स का ग्राफ है वो काफ़ी नीचे चले गया। उस सोच से हमें बाहर निकलना पड़ेगा कि मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ था तो अब इनके साथ भी ऐसे ही होना है।
आप कोई नई जॉब ज्वाइन करते हो, कोई भी नई चीज़ चूज़ करते हो, इनफैक्ट आप कुछ नया खरीदते भी हो तो आप सेकंड गेस नहीं करते हो खुद को, क्या मैंने सही किया? सो यू वांट टू मेक श्योर दैट दे डोंट सेकंड गेस देयर डिसीजन। हम उल्टा करें अगर कि आप उसको वो शॉप फ्लोर पे जाए और 4 आदमी उसी को उस समय बोल रहे हो दिस इज़ नॉट अ ग्रेट डिसीजन। कौन सी इंडस्ट्री ऐसा करती है? व्हेन यू लुक एट इंटर्न्स, दे वांट टू गो आउटसाइड टू डू देयर इंटर्नशिप, एंड इफ यू आस्क देम, इफ यू इंटरेक्ट विद द स्टूडेंट्स, दे विल गिव यू दोज 3 थिंग्स: better quality of environment, way better money, controlled hours, and you're working with a great brand, and of course you know the socio-cultural benefit of having seen a different country, all of that.
Namaste and welcome back to HospeTalk with Vikas Mehra. I am your host Vikas और आज हमारे साथ हैं एक बहुत खास गेस्ट मिस्टर संदीप मुंजाल, डायरेक्टर ऑफ वेदात्या इंस्टीट्यूट. With nearly 3 decades of experience across global hospitality and academy, Mr. Munjal has shaped countless leaders for the industry. ताज होटल्स के साथ उनके अर्ली ईयर्स से लेकर यूएसए में आर्मराक के साथ फूड सर्विस ऑपरेशंस को लीड करना और अब ऑलमोस्ट 20 ईयर से वेदात्या इंस्टीट्यूट में फ्यूचर होटेलियर्स को तैयार करना. हिज जर्नी इज़ अ ट्रू इंस्पिरेशन. दिस कन्वर्सेशन इज़ गोइंग टू बी फुल ऑफ इंसाइट्स, स्टोरीज एंड सम स्ट्रेट टॉक अबाउट द वर्ल्ड ऑफ हॉस्पिटैलिटी. चाहे आप स्टूडेंट हो, होटल प्रोफेशनल हो या लीडर, मुझे उम्मीद है कि आज का एपिसोड आपको इंस्पिरेशन भी देगा और एक रियलिटी चेक भी. इफ़ यू फाउंड वैल्यू इन दिस एपिसोड, डू मी अ फेवर, इसे कम से कम एक फेलो होटेलियर के साथ ज़रूर शेयर कीजिएगा. हमारे YouTube चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और साथ में बेल आइकन दबाइए ताकि आप कभी भी कोई इंसाइट मिस ना करें. लेट्स लिसन, लर्न एंड लीड टुगेदर. Hi sir, first thing first, welcome to HospeTalk. Taking out time, I know it has always been very crucial, you know, especially a personality like you. आप बहुत busy रहते हैं, इसके बावजूद you took out time giving us, so thank you so much.
Most welcome Vikas, and thank you for giving me an opportunity on your platform, and it's lovely having you here.
Thank you sir. शुरुआत से शुरू करते हैं. आई मीन टेल अस अबाउट, आप अपने थोड़ा करियर जर्नी के बारे में बताएं सर. आई मीन हाउ कम यू एंडेड अप इन हॉस्पिटैलिटी?
Okay, so 30 years back, a little over 30 years back, I think the way people approached their career decisions was way different. तो उतना कोई काउंसलिंग सपोर्ट, स्कूल्स में गाइडेंस वगैरह नहीं होती थी. तो आई थिंक आई कॉल इट अ चांस इवेंट, एंड आई वाज लकी दैट आई हैड somebody in the family. He was an executive chef with Taj, and while I was figuring out what I want to do, one of the options that he presented or shared was the direction of joining the hospitality sector. और मुझे आज भी याद है और मैं ये अक्सर कोट करता हूँ that one of the big reasons that I decided to go on this path was उन्होंने वो हिंदी में बोला मुझे कि इस इंडस्ट्री में रहती दुनिया तक काम रहेगा. So what I captured from that was that, and he added that if you are willing to work hard, so एक मेहनती इंसान के लिए इस इंडस्ट्री में हमेशा काम रहेगा. It was very interesting in 2000, I think 20 कोविड आया था 20.
जी हाँ जी सर.
And there was so much noise. Is the industry a right choice? And of course everything was in a shutdown mode, right? And तब मुझे वो दोबारा याद आई उनकी बात. And I again said that to parents, students who are looking to take a decision कि ये industry join करनी चाहिए या नहीं करनी चाहिए. तो मैंने तब भी उन्हें यही बोला that of course COVID did what it did, that इस industry में रहती दुनिया तक काम रहेगा. And we can see that is true. So it was true 30 years back. It is true today that if you're willing to work hard, service industry at large, but hospitality industry in particular will give you opportunities. And that was where I started off, and that was my reason to get started. Though it was a chance event that way.
Amazing. I mean, ये बहुत ही अच्छी और प्यारी line है which you just said.
I'm just quoting the person concerned. So, and it has stuck to me then, and आज भी मुझे याद रहती है और मैं बहुत अक्सर बोलता हूँ ये बात, और ये ट्रू है.
नहीं एब्सोल्युटली. 30 साल का एक्सपीरियंस और एक्चुअली मोर देन दैट, क्या पॉसिबल है आपके लिए इसको सिर्फ एक वर्ड में डिस्क्राइब करना?
लाइफ चेंजिंग.
I mean, why would you say that?
So I'm an introvert, and like I said, when there is very limited counseling available to you, and you choose to go on a path. I remember joining Aurangabad. I'm the first batch to pass out from that institution. और पहले हफ्ते पहले कुछ दिन you are looking at a person who is not wanting to interact much. So ये typical introverts की orientation होती है. तो reclusive nature, अपने cocoon में रहना. And I started questioning that I have chosen a customer facing business, customer facing industry, और ये तो I'll have to do work on myself. And that's the reason I used the word life changing. That was a starting point where I realized that there's an orientation where you can draw on the strengths of an introvert. Analytical hai, you listen, so there are aspects that they are strong on, but you have to also build a capacity to be ready for what life has to throw at you, not just industry. So I think उस point से वो changes in personality and thought process, I think a lot of those things started, and everything that I have been able to do or achieve in my life, I think उसका trigger वहीं से आया. So that is why I use the word life changing. I don't know if I had chosen something else, I would have had the life that I have had, and I would be the person that I became. So I think at multiple levels it was life changing for me.
What made you move from operations to academics?
So I worked with Taj for a few years before I realized that in those days, when I think there were only 3 brands that you could work for, so the Taj, Oberoi's, and at some level ITC. The organized retail sector was not there. Mid-segmentation नहीं थी industry में. So I realized that the pace of growth that I aspired for was possibly not going to happen in India. And the other thing that played out, and I'm sure there's a question coming my way on what the industry pays. I also realized that if I have to secure myself financially, I'll have to look out, and that is what caused me to look at opportunities to move and look for opportunities in US. So I think that's where the journey started. But I think the factors that drove were these 2.
मैं डेफिनेटली एज यू मेंशन पे वाले उसके ऊपर टॉपिक की हम बिल्कुल बात करेंगे, फॉर श्योर करेंगे. बट लेट्स थोड़ा सा कम बैक ऑन योर करियर. अभी उसी के ऊपर फोकस करना चाहता हूँ मैं. व्हेन यू लुक बैक एट योर करियर जर्नी, एट योर उसमें से ऐसा कौन सा मोमेंट है सर जहाँ पे आपको लगा कि यस, जो भी मैंने अपने करियर में किया this was worth it?
So I think in your previous question you asked कि operations से आप
Academics
academics
जी
में
sir.
क्यों आए? So the move to US saw me look at get a perspective of hospitality which was very different and different in more ways than I could have imagined. So I already worked for 7-8 years here, तो यहाँ की industry की एक समझ, and I was working in the food and beverage service operation space, तो वो थी, and working in US I was able to see differences. As an intern, I think as an individual you can respond to challenges one way or the other. So if as an intern you go through a process where you're not treated all that well, and I'm sure we'll have conversations around hours unlimited hain, you're paid almost nothing. At the hotel, and I had an opportunity to intern or work at various Taj properties. Great experiences, not so great experiences. So जब भी किसी department में I had an experience which was best avoided, or I would wish somebody else would not go through that. So I kind of made a mental note कि ना जब मेरा समय आएगा या मेरे पास opportunity होगी to effect that and change that, I would make that effort and try and be that change agent. In US I realized that there was already a huge difference, right? And but I carried that thought process, and I still remember that when I ran, so I worked with this company called Aramark, and after having worked for about 2-3 years, I had that moment of truth where there was a union process which was happening, and all accounts in Philadelphia, where I was based, they were facing issues where the employees were trying to create a situation where the negotiations became harder. And I remember somebody senior in the leadership coming and telling me that there is nobody coming from your account or the accounts that I was managing. So there seems to be no issue. So there is no intent to either stop work or do anything. And how is that? That was an aberration, because बाकी जगहों पे वो issues दिख रहे थे.
जी.
So I think I thought, let me find out, right? And the feedback that I got was that the cultural context that I was able to provide to folks that were working with me, I think they made sure that they were part of the solution and not part of the problem. And it was very special, because what it also told me is that what you sow, that's what you're going to reap. What you build as an environment, as an enabler, is going to come back in some way or the other. When you are building that, you may not realize that. So, and if I were to put it in short, it's about you do good anyway, you do the right thing, and the chances are that the cultural context that you will build will work for you. So I still remember that feedback. So that I think validated everything I had done since then. And there have been more moments, but I think that one sticks out because it was a very unique situation, and it worked well.
Done, sir. Talking about here Vedatya, right? Vedatya is always been known for the strong values, innovation. तो इस पूरे प्रोसेस में हाउ डू यू एंश्योर कि जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं, वन इज़ दैट दे आर फ्यूचर रेडी, क्योंकि इंडस्ट्री ना बहुत कॉन्स्टेंटली अब चेंज हो रही है सर. मोर स्पेसिफिकली अगर हमें बात करनी है, एआई के आने से आई थिंक बहुत सारी चीज़ें काफ़ी आसान हो गई हैं. तो उससे क्या होता था, जो वर्क फोर्स लगती थी अब वो कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा सा उनको आप ये कह सकते हैं कि थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा टाइम मिल गया, सो दैट दे हैव स्टार्टेड वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स दैट, है ना. बट एट द सेम टाइम हॉस्पिटैलिटी का जो अपना ऑरा है वो कम्प्लीटली बेस्ड आउट है हमारे ट्रेडिशंस के ऊपर. सो हाउ डू यू टेक केयर ऑफ सच कि बच्चे एआई का जो पार्ट है उसके रास्ते में भी चलते रहे, बट येट समहाउ वो जो हॉस्पिटैलिटी की जो ट्रेडिशंस हैं वो भी कहीं ना कहीं उनके अंदर एटलीस्ट इफ नॉट रूट डाल दिए जाए.
So good question, great question, Vikas. I think fundamentally it is important that anyone who is going through a hospitality program, that the basics are strong. I think that was true 30 years back, that is true today. What, however, needs to evolve or change, and something that I think it isn't complicated, I don't think it's rocket science, intent hona chahiye. And I think any place or an institution that has that intent, they'll make that happen. The value proposition today is not the knowledge or information. That, in my days, it might have been great to get hold of a couple of books that have got information on wine, and you may want to spend time in 2-3 different libraries trying to get that information. वो information आज बहुत आसानी से available है. So I think the value proposition lies in tools and approaches that you will use, where वो applied orientation से आप उस aspect को cover कर पाओ, चाहे वो theoretical हो, चाहे skill based हो. So case in point is how we teach wines, right? So we teach wines where you actually start from building an understanding of the soil, the climate. We have actually grown grapes here. आप उसके बाद यीस्ट डाल के प्रोसेस फर्मेंटेशन का करके एक्चुअल वाइन बनाइए, उसको बॉटल करिए, उसकी लेबलिंग करिए, उसकी टेस्टिंग कराइए. इनफैक्ट वी हैड एन इवेंट जस्ट अ वीक बैक. द वे यू लर्न अबाउट समथिंग बाय डूइंग इज नॉट रिप्लेसेबल. So I think one of the things that I have always supported and I feel strongly about is that you have to figure out that as educators, as trainers or as faculty members, हम value proposition classroom में या lab में या kitchens में, how are we going to create that? And if you don't have an answer to that, then there is a problem. You want to teach entrepreneurship, there is a food truck you would have seen, so students actually run it. तो आप menus बनाओगे, आप market करोगे, customer service handle करोगे, P&L बनाओगे, you will make mistakes, you will make great food, packaging देखोगे. There is a course where, and I think the kids would have made a gift bag for you. So which is उसकी जो design है packaging है bakery pack की, done by the students, right? So then they got that done through a vendor. So the students in our bakery class would have made some product, they have packed that, and here it is. So what is happening is, आप real life के situations, you can't come 100% to that point because there is obviously going to be some difference.
वो तो रहेगा सर.
As far as you can go, so the closer, and that can some of that can happen through the application. The other thing that you need to do is what we do every 2 years, that you revisit what you're teaching, because the world is changing. Like you mentioned, the world is changing fast. There is a new course which is focused on vegan cuisine. We started that.
That has actually become a huge trend.
Exactly. So and then you're preparing vegan menus, and you're in your practical setting making those curated menus and serving them. So you understand aspects that are contemporary. It is tricky because the pace of change is so fast that I think I'll have to say that sometimes you also cannot be 100% sure of what 5 years ahead is going to look like.
Agreed, sir.
Right. So you mentioned AI. I see AI and the huge push that is coming through, and how the AI tools are playing out in business. I see that as an opportunity. There are professions where AI is, as we speak, replacing human beings. They are replacing jobs. But my general sense, and I've been saying that this year and last year also, is that it is a fantastic time to look at the service sector while it is going to get impacted. Right? I think you are going to be fairly insulated in terms of career options, jobs, and progression, because technology goes thus far and no further. In fact, there is sometimes a reverse effect, and we noticed that in COVID. Right after COVID, how did we travel? Right? Because human beings need human interaction.
Yes.
If anything, I think we will warm up to more personalized service, right? More customized products. So there are opportunities that this is going to throw. There are a lot of areas where I think the jobs are just not going to come back. For example, I think there was a AI-driven tool that converts. So we are speaking in English and Hindi. There's a tool that was launched in Europe, and I think our Prime Minister used that in one of his podcasts. So वो real time में विकास convert कर रहा है multiple languages में, right? And it is also picking up, वो emotion भी pick कर रहा है, भाव भी pick कर रहा है.
बिल्कुल, agreed.
So if there are people who are looking at language studies and they're doing a PhD in that area, they're looking at jobs, maybe working with UN, maybe working as translators. वो तो those jobs are gone because these tools are going, and there are a lot of those. Legal profession पे बहुत impact होगा. Banking system में I think there is an impact in terms of what number of customer service positions that they had. I know of BPO processes जहाँ पे 1000 seats होती थी, आज 100 की ज़रूरत नहीं है.
बिल्कुल.
तो but food, restaurant space, hospitality space in general, and I think that the customer service orientation जहाँ भी है effect होगा, but I think we have to figure out where technology will come in, try and bring some efficiencies, try and change some processes, absolutely. But I think what that presents is an opportunity to recognize tasks which machines are going to do for you, or apps are going to do, or tools are going, digital tools are going to do. That creates an opportunity to do stuff which they cannot and create a better customer experience. तो आई थिंक उसमें मुझे तो अपॉर्चुनिटी दिखती है, एंड आई सी अ सिग्निफिकेंट इंसुलेशन वर्सेस होल लॉट ऑफ अदर सेक्टर्स.
नहीं सर, प्लस अभी तक सो फार जो भी न्यूज़ आई है एटलीस्ट हमारे इंडस्ट्री के लिए वो तो पॉजिटिव ही है. नहीं तो अभी तक तो हम अगर न्यूज़पेपर देखते हैं आज के, सर सुबह उठो आपको मिल ही जाता है कहीं ना कहीं जी इतने लोगों की जॉब चली गई, इतने लोगों की जॉब चली गई.
मैं तो लास्ट 2 साल से ही बोल रहा हूँ कि अगर इफ यू आर एक्सरसाइजिंग दिस चॉइस एंड दिस मोर सो फॉर पेरेंट्स एंड दैट निश्चिंत रहिए. वो जो कहावत मैंने जो एक सेंटेंस बोला था वो बिल्कुल ट्रू है. हॉस्पिटैलिटी इंडस्ट्री में रहती दुनिया तक काम रहेगा. उसका ओरिएंटेशन बदल सकता है. इट कैन बिकम डिफरेंट, इट कैन इवॉल्व, ऑल ऑफ दोज चेंजेस विल हैपन एंड टेक्नोलॉजी विल स्टैंड विद अस, वॉक विद अस, बट यू आर चूजिंग वेल इफ यू आर चूजिंग द सेक्टर.
फॉर स्टूडेंट्स एंड न्यू कमर्स, अगर उनके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से ऐसा वो कौन सा स्किल है जो आपके हिसाब से जो हमारे HM के प्रोफेशनल्स हैं जो भी इंडस्ट्री ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं कि एक ऐसा स्किल कि सर इसके बिना वो हमारे इंडस्ट्री में सर्वाइव ही नहीं कर पाएंगे?
I'll tell you my candid response to that is that years back somebody would have said communication skill अच्छी होनी चाहिए और दिखने में अच्छे होने चाहिए. If my response to that is you should have a good work ethic, right? आपका value system ठीक होना चाहिए and a positive attitude, right? If you have those two, right, if you don't speak that well or very fluent English, you will, as you move forward, you will pick up the language, you will become better at it, right? In my experience, I have looked at people who are they come from a schooling background where the language skills were fantastic, body language is good. If you don't have the work ethic or attitude, body language सिखाई जा सकती है, language verbal communication skills develop किए जा सकते हैं, attitude is hard to change. और अगर ethic ही नहीं है, work ethic ही नहीं है, right? So I think if you have those two elements, they are not essentially skills, but I think if you have those two, everything else can be worked upon, and they will do well and they will grow. I remember people who joined as or who were working as stewards when I joined Taj Palace and as an assistant manager in their coffee shop. Coffee shop भी अब 2-3 नाम बदल चुके हैं. It used to be called Isfahan, and I remember people, and I'm connected to them. Some of them have become senior managers. They've grown through the ranks, all because of their strong work ethic, because they were hardworking. They worked on everything else, and the attitude. That it comes down to recognizing glass half full, half empty. So we need people who can see glasses half full.
मान लीजिए 30 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है, बट मान लीजिए आप वही सेम करियर आज शुरू कर रहे हैं, तो ऐसा डिफरेंट आप आज की डेट में क्या करेंगे?
I think I wouldn't change much. I wouldn't change much because I think two things that have worked for me were the things that I identified as what I think will work for any young person who is coming into the industry now, which was a very strong work ethic, right, and an open mind. And I think that is something that carries you, I think, in any professional journey that you have, जो भी आप career choice करें. So I actually reflected on that question when you shared that, and I realized that I think with that orientation, I had the opportunities come my way. As the size of the industry increased, those opportunities would be larger. If anything, I would have loved to work for more brands than just one. So I worked just for Taj in India, and then largely Aramark Corporation in USA. So if I were to get another start, go back in time, maybe I would like to look at what is the difference in working for maybe 2 or 3 different brands. But other than that, I think in terms of my approach as a young person, I wouldn't change a thing.
As per your experience, हमारे इंडस्ट्री में जो न्यू कमर्स आ रहे हैं या आते हैं, वो इनिशियल स्टेज पे सबसे बड़ी गलती क्या कर रहे हैं या करते हैं?
So if you are talking about people who have just started working in the sector after going through their educational, I think there is a nervousness or there is an impulse to change jobs quickly. So I think there is, while I don't think today's generation we can expect them to have average career spans of 8-9 years in a place, but I think at least my recommendation is if you've joined a place, it takes time, about couple of years, 3 years. So don't be in a hurry to move to a new opportunity. There may be an opportunity which gives you a promotion very quickly or maybe more money. There's nothing wrong with either of the two. But if you're going to do that every year, you are going to build a resume जहाँ आपके 10 साल के experience में या 5 साल के experience में 7 different locations दिख रही हैं. और अगर मैं ऐसा एक profile देखता हूँ, and if I'm a recruiter or somebody who is hiring, in fact even when we are hiring, the first thing I look for is that is there some capacity to stay and perform. तो अगर आपका एवरेज टेन्योर अगर 8 महीने 7 महीने है तो उसका एक ही इंटरप्रिटेशन है कि आप ज्वाइन करते हैं बिफोर यू कैन इवन परफॉर्म और डिलीवर और फिगर आउट और वैलिडेट दैट हाउ वेल डिड यू डू और डिड नॉट डू, आप आगे बढ़ जाते हैं. वो 4-5 साल तक आपको हो सकता है बिकॉज इंडस्ट्री में अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं, यू नो द नेक्स्ट गाय पिक्स यू अप एंड द नेक्स्ट गाय पिक्स यू अप, पर उसकी यू आर बाय in my understanding over a mid-term to a long-term orientation of a career path, you are actually shortchanging yourself, and sooner than later people are not going to be interested because वो pattern दिख जाएगा उन्हें. So one of the things that I think I always say is थोड़ा सा patience, right, रखना ज़रूरी है. If you've chosen a brand, unless you know there are things that are absolutely unacceptable to you, मैं वो extreme circumstances की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, but broadly
This larger picture यही कहती है कि
2-3 साल आप काम करो, because I think that will give you a good sense of whether there is the reverse is also true. Employers should also be very they should be interested in trying to look at talent and understand that you have to have a pathway for them. अगर आप pathway नहीं दोगे तो I am pretty sure people will move anyways, but I think individuals should still try and build tenures. So at least some decent tenures should be built. तो वो avoidable, I think that's a mistake I think the folks should avoid.
अब चलते हैं असली मुद्दे की तरफ सर. वर्किंग आवर्स बहुत फेमस या इनफेमस जो भी कह सकते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं सर? आई मीन हमारे बच्चे इतने परेशान हैं और ऑफ कोर्स जेन्युइनली आई थिंक जो ये 12-14 घंटे की शिफ्ट्स हैं ये बहुत ज़्यादा हैं फॉर अ सिंगल ह्यूमन बीइंग. वंस अ वीक ओके चलो ठीक है डन, हम मान सकते हैं, बट अगर ये कॉन्टीन्यूटी में है, आप अगर आपके पास लेट्स से ये पावर दे दी जाए, हाउ वुड यू रिजॉल्व इट?
आई थिंक आई हैव माय ओन professional journey gives me a unique opportunity to respond to this question. My work experience in US, I was able to catch on couple of things. One, flat hierarchies. Second, I realized that the quantum of work that typically happens in a, let's say, a restaurant setting was being done faster by lesser number of people. And if I reflect, I think what was possibly happening, and this is the role of managers, mid-level managers, more than the senior leadership, is to recognize that sometimes we overstaff, right? So one, you are overstaffing and you are holding on to people for hours that is actually maybe not even required, right? So the point I'm making is that if you view your operation and if you plan effectively, ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है ना कि दुनिया के एक देश के अंदर you have more people, more hierarchy, and your productivity is still not there. So you have to answer that question. So all operations have to answer that question for themselves. That is it about equipment? Is it about processes, procedures? And you'll realize that there is a way of affecting the duration of these shifts by looking at your operation a little more carefully. So you will be able to possibly take some of that, the general orientation, and this is not just about hospitality sector by the way. वो होता है ना, कुछ sectors थोड़ा बदनाम हो जाते हैं या narrative ऐसा stitch हो जाता है. So like you said कि ये तो बिल्कुल banking में यही है. I mean, I know architects work like that, chartered accountants work like that, designers, they do that, and I'll come to that context also. But I think specific to hospitality, there's an opportunity to relook at your operations, and some of the comments I made earlier, तो आप उसको खुद ही कर सकते हैं change. The other bit that I picked up was that where you pay folks by an hour, right, and you pay them a salary or the remuneration element, irrespective of whether वो salaried लोगों के लिए तो fixed है और अगर hourly हैं तो हाँ, तो आप if I'm going to work more and if you're going to be able to monetize it and make it worthwhile, किसी को problem नहीं होगी. You know where the problem starts? For example, I'm an intern, right? And this is my genuine understanding because I've gone through that entire process myself. So if you're going to pay me 2,000 rupees, 2,500 rupees for a month, right, 3,000 rupees, right, and then you're going to make me work 12, 14, 16 hours, psychologically I am going to feel that you are ripping me off, right? My brain is going to do the math. There's a generation where we went through that process and we took it in our stride, right? There's a large group of people who my generation and even older, where we would say this is called baptism by fire, right? You go through the grind, it makes you stronger, it strengthens you and makes you industry ready. Or somebody who falls apart, मतलब आप industry के लिए नहीं बने हो. I think we have to be careful about it. इसी thought process और narrative की वजह से आज ये result है that National Council used to attract some 30-40,000 applicants, which is down to 3, 4, 5. I don't know what that number this year has been, right? So we are struggling to attract young talent. So we have to be mindful about the narrative that gets stretched. So if you have to respond to that, relook at operations to see how you can ensure that you are able to control the shifts. Relook at what you're going to compensate people. So if you want them to spend long hours, so you don't want to do long hours, you get paid X. I am willing to put in 14-hour days, so you pay me better, time and a half, right? So when I go back home, I'm very tired, but I know I'm taking decent amount of money home, right? So you have responded to that. Third is the orientation, where I think if you're enjoying your work, वो आपको and where you feel you're treated right, you're not being treated unfairly, you feel okay with any challenge that comes your way, right? People work in startups, unthinkable number of hours हैं, right? So this is not, the answer is not going to be a straight line. So answer would be that you have to attempt to change the narrative by looking at it from all perspectives, and then hopefully find common ground where individuals who are considering or have joined the industry, they have every reason to feel that they're being treated right. You are looking at them, you appreciate and recognize that they're interested in a work-life balance, and you're looking at a new generation that thinks differently. Let's look at it from a perspective where we don't change this at all. So we know there is data to suggest that young people are looking at, they have options, which is great. And hospitality is not the only option for them. So they have options. Every industry has to have an objective of attracting more and more great talent. Why would we do anything where we are pushing people to not consider us? So it should be an obligation for educational institutions, for industry leaders. All of us have to work together to create an environment where people say, hospitality, yes, sounds like a good idea. Hours, yes, hours, but I think hours are there everywhere, right? But they pay us well, right? They take care of us. There is a growth path provided. So all of those elements together will give us a solution which will change the narrative if we want it to. So I will not name a hotel where I was attending a banquet, right, and they had servers and Vikas agar it has stuck to me. This is almost couple of years back in Aero City. So there was in that space, and I come from a F&B service background, so I'm looking at about 8 servers, right? So these 8 guys, out of these 8, there was only one guy who looked interested in being hospitable and serving. The rest of the 7, they looked dead tired, right? They'd been sweating, and of course it looked like maybe they'd been doing this for 12, 14, 16 hours. So वो क्या कर रहे थे, वो जो the door where they were, picking food up and coming inside, they would enter from one door, just stand, take a U-turn and go out, right? Because they wanted to, because they'd been maybe standing on their feet for long hours. तो वो सर्विस नहीं, आपके 8 सर्वर्स में से एक सर्विस ओरिएंटेशन दे रहा था और एक्चुअली was taking starters through the room. Rest of the guys, what is the point of staffing? So on paper आपने 8 लोगों की staffing है ना आपके 8 में से 7-10% प्रोडक्टिविटी भी नहीं दे रहे हैं आपको, राइट? द बेस्ट पार्ट वाज उसी रूम में 2 सुपरवाइजर भी थे, एंड फॉर ऑलमोस्ट अ आवर एंड अ हाफ आई एम वॉचिंग. सो सुपरवाइजर्स भी टायर्ड हैं. सुपरवाइजर्स को ये दिख नहीं रहा कि उनका सर्विस स्टाफ डिलीवर नहीं कर रहा. तो आपकी स्टाफिंग का पॉइंट ही क्या है? इससे तो अच्छा था कि आप 2 या 3 फ्रेश लेग्स, एंथुजियास्टिक, wanting to serve. It came down to कि अगर आप कुछ खाना चाहते हो ना और आपको भूख लग रही है before they open the main course, you will have to catch the guy, right, and say कि भाई मैं I'm hungry, I need to. From their point of view, they couldn't care less. And I'm not even going in to a direction where I'm talking about quality of understanding कि मैं serve क्या कर रहा हूँ या saying a hello to a guest. So everything good about customer service. वो तो बहुत दूर है. ये there are individuals who are not interested in walking the room.
चलो मैं तो कहता हूँ सर, लार्ज इंस्टेंसेस में नहीं भी शेयर करता. सो देर इज़ दिस गाय हु वांटेड टू स्टार्ट हिज और हर करियर इन फ्रंट ऑफिस. वेरी वेल स्पोकन, इंटर्नशिप करके आए हैं विद हाई अप्रेजल्स, हाई ओन मोटिवेशन, एट्रीब्यूट्स अच्छे हैं, एटीट्यूड बहुत अच्छा है कि हाँ मैं कर लूँगा. नाउ हियर कम्स द रियल डील. व्हेन दीज गाइज सिट्स इन इंटरव्यू, वट ऑफर में क्या मिलता है उनको? 20,000 22,000 रुपये. और ये CTC है सर. रियलिटी हमें पता है, CTC कट आगे वट एवर दिस गाइज आर गोइंग टू गेट. फ्रंट ऑफिस में टिप्स आते नहीं है, बहुत मिनिमल. चलो F&B का होता तो बोलता जी इधर उधर से कुछ और भी आ जाएगा, सर्विस आ जा सकता है और वट एवर. देन एन MNC कंपनी कम्स इन, और कोई भी एक जो आजकल हमने देखा है जो बहुत बड़े हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, उनके रिसेप्शंस पे अगर आप कभी भी जाएंगे, सारा स्टाफ हॉस्पिटैलिटी से बिलोंग करता है. उनको वहाँ पे सैलरी मिल रही है सर 40,000 45,000. ये कैसे ना रोका जाए सर? इवेंचुअली देखा जाए, हमने एक प्रॉपर जो इंडस्ट्री का बहुत अच्छा लीडर बन सकता था वो गवा दिया.
बिकॉज दिस इज एक्चुअली इंट्रोस्पेक्शन दैट इंडस्ट्री नीड्स टू consider, and leaders in the industry need to consider, and this is absolutely true. So when you look at if I were to analyze, so we are 25 years old institution, so 21-22 batches pass out हुए हैं. I will be wrapping up to my 20 years journey in academics in January, right? So for most part I think probably more than 90% of the folks who go through our programs, they may start with a job in India, right? We have a decent number, a very strong number of them start off as management trainees or in supervisory positions. But the salaries that I've seen, it has improved over the last 2-3 years. So there are brands that are willing to go as high as 30,000 rupees, 25,000. The average, I think what I have seen, at least for our students, is about that 22-25. Right? But if you start off in this country, very quickly you will start looking outside, because that's where you are going to, it's going to be worthwhile. So answer to, and why shouldn't it be so? So if you've got opportunities in the Gulf where money is tax free, and if you're going to work long hours, you will get 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the money that you make. All our interns, they go abroad. They would put down money to get a J1 and work in US because you know what kind of money you would recoup everything that you have spent, and you'll come back with money depending upon the overtime that you were able to do.
सर आप तो यूएसए की बात कर रहे हैं,
right?
बट अगर मैं आई एम सो सॉरी, आप तो यूएसए की बात कर रहे हैं सर. कंट्रीज लाइक मालदीव्स, मॉरिशियस, दुबई, बहरीन,
एग्जैक्टली सारा मिडिल
दे पे सो वेल टू आवर इंटर्न्स कि मुझे लगता है कि हमारे यहाँ पे जो क्वालिटी ऑफ इंटर्न्स का ग्राफ है वो काफ़ी नीचे चले गया अब.
When you look at interns, they want to go outside to do their internship, and if you ask them, if you interact with the students, they'll give you those 3 things: better quality of environment, way better money, controlled hours, and you're working with a great brand, and of course you know the socio-cultural benefit of having seen a different country, all of that. So the industry is not competing for talent just within India. So it's the skill set. An architect, if you have a degree here, you can't go and practice architecture anywhere. Medicine, you know, you have to do something different. Legal, again you have to study. हमारे इंडस्ट्री में सेम स्किल सेट सारी दुनिया में अप्लाई होता है. The reason I was able to make it work for myself was the same. So I worked here, I went there. Subtle differences, right? The qualification that I had worked there as well, right? And I was able to work there. So जहाँ पे आपको you have to make sure that people have reasons to stay back. In fact, if it is anything, if bigger brands, all the bigger brands that are growing and adding keys, right? What's the point in hiring somebody as a management training from a good institution, maybe spending a year, 6 months, getting them up to speed, a year, only to lose them to a Gulf country. Right? So that's a question that they have to answer, that, you know, is it worth your while to keep losing talent to businesses abroad, and the first chance they will get out. And I don't think there is anything wrong with that till you create a situation where somebody thinks, you know, money is good here, they take good care of me, right? Why should I head out? So it is that thought process and that shift has to come through. But honestly, I thought it should have arrived by now, because the industry is matured, evolved, grown leaps and bounds in comparison over the last 3 decades. I'm actually surprised that every conference, right, at all meetings where key stakeholders are talking, हर कोई बात कर रहा है कि talent का issue है, talent pipeline नहीं है. I'm sure the recent impact in terms of, you know, what National Council is attracting in terms of students for their programs, ये इतनी कन्वर्सेशन है, और ये कन्वर्सेशन को बहुत साल हो गए, ये कोविड से पहले से चल रहा है. सो यू नो आई कीप हियरिंग द सेम टॉक, बट उसके करेक्टिव्स जो हैं जिस स्पीड से आने चाहिए, देयर आर आइसोलेटेड ब्रांड्स वेयर यू नो दे आर शार्प एंड they are making steps, taking steps, making decisions to change that perception, pay more, treat people better, control hours. There are brands that are doing that, but I think larger जो group है वो सबको करना चाहिए, और आप ये करने लगोगे तो अपने आप narrative change होगा. And I think now that we are speaking, I think professionals who are working in the industry, right, lot of times they do the bad mouthing part. Right? आप अगर आपने पूछा मुझसे कि Sandeep, why did you choose? I gave you an example and define in word कि आपके लिए ये क्या mean करता था. So my and that's my complete truth of life, and I said it was life changing. If you were to ask me everything that I have, everything that I've done, I owe it to the industry. तो मैं जिस इंडस्ट्री ने मुझे जीवन में सब कुछ दिया है, मैं how can I bad mouth that? I'm candid. I will call out, it is my industry, I will call it out on things that it should change, improve, innovate or avoid, but I will not badmouth. I will also equally stand with the fact that it creates opportunities.
सर ये सब ठीक है, लेकिन आपके हिसाब से इंस्टीट्यूशंस को, इंडस्ट्री लीडर्स को इसके बारे में करना क्या चाहिए? आई मीन हाउ टू रिजॉल्व इट?
आई थिंक इसका जो रेजोल्यूशन है वो बाय वर्किंग टुगेदर टू डू अ फ्यू थिंग्स, बट डू देम, not just talk about them. So I think बातों का समय I think निकल चुका है, and that is evident. You don't have to go with what an X person says or a Y person says. Go with the data, right? So if the data is suggesting that more and more young people are choosing our industry, then I think we don't have anything to worry. If data is suggesting that a lot of young people who are joining the industry are staying and working in India, you don't have anything to do. That means everything is working. If the data suggests that this is not true, then you have to figure out what do we fix, right? Everyone knows what has to be fixed, right? So I think that narrative and those ideas have been around for 10 years. In fact, each passing year, we hear the same stuff. For an individual who is passionate about hospitality, has genuine interest, if you are able to provide rest of the important value adds that a person, any young person, male or female, looks for in their life, they are going to be part of our industry. And if we ensure that we provide those value adds to them in India, they will have every reason to stay and work here and build their careers here, right? So वो value adds जो 3 necessary हैं वो हम सबको ही पता है, right? We want to start to pay them better. We want to start to take cognizance of the fact that they look at work-life balance in a little different way than maybe what a previous generation did. And the third element is that the work culture that you are providing is forward-looking, where they feel that they are treated well, taken care of, right? And if you provide all of those, part of that is going to be the day-to-day interactions. A lot of institutions lose people in internships. क्यों? इंटर्नशिप में आप जिसने आपकी इंडस्ट्री को चूज़ किया आप उसको वेलकम करोगे ना. सो आप अगर उसे वेलकम करोगे वो खुश होगा. आई एम नॉट सेइंग डोंट मेक देम वर्क हार्ड. So I hope nobody misinterprets what I'm saying. Yes, you want to make sure they work hard. Yes, but you also want to make sure that they're learning something. You're not using them as mere warm bodies. Or there is no problem in asking them to do all tasks, but you have a perspective that think from, simply put, think from the point of view of an intern. इसमें मुश्किल कितनी मुश्किल है? क्या मैंने इंटर्नशिप नहीं की है तो क्या मैं सोच नहीं सकता कि एक इंटर्न कैसे सोचता है? तो आप उसके हिसाब से put yourself in his or her shoes and start and appreciate the difference in the generation and start lining up some things which makes him interested.
And moreover sir, I think उस सोच से हमें बाहर निकलना पड़ेगा कि मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ था तो अब इनके साथ भी ऐसे
मैंने तो आपको शुरू में बोला मेरे साथ हुआ था तो I will make sure that when I have a chance I will do better. I will make sure that an intern feels respected, taken care of, is excited कि ये मैंने तो ना अच्छी चॉइस है. आप कोई नई जॉब ज्वाइन करते हो, कोई भी नई चीज़ चूज़ करते हो, इनफैक्ट आप कुछ नया खरीदते भी हो तो आप सेकंड गेस नहीं करते हो खुद को, क्या मैंने सही किया, राइट? सो यू वांट टू मेक श्योर दैट दे डोंट सेकंड गेस देयर डिसीजन. हम उल्टा करें अगर कि आप उसको वो शॉप फ्लोर पे जाए और 4 आदमी उसी को उस समय बोल रहे हो कि अरे ये तो तुमने दिस इज़ नॉट अ ग्रेट डिसीजन. कौन सी इंडस्ट्री ऐसा करती है? कौन सी इंडस्ट्री ऐसा करती है जो अपने रोज़ आप यू शूट योरसेल्फ इन द फुट ऑन अ डेली रूटीन बेसिस, राइट? सो देयर शुड बी कल्चरल सेंसिटाइजेशन विद इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, within all managerial supervisory levels to say that our job is to welcome young people. The more bright young people come, stay, great for all of us. वो आप करोगे and some of the basic stuff that we have spoken out, it will change. उससे narrative change होगा. अगर आप खुद ही narrative खराब रोज़ करोगे, वो true है या नहीं है, and the hard fact is that it is not true that we in the industry work more hours than a lot of other industries. Everywhere people work hours, and if you make the environment positive and if the environment is warm and welcoming, hours उतना पता नहीं लगते. You become a family there, right? You stop looking at it. But in all of that envelope, आपका दिमाग ये क्वेश्चन ज़रूर करेगा कि आप जब मुझे इतना काम मुझसे ले रहे हैं तो what are you offering me? One of those key elements will always remain the monetary aspect. उसको अगर हम इग्नोर करेंगे, बाकी सब लाइन अप कर भी देंगे तो वर्क नहीं करेगा. एंड देयर शुडंट बी एनी प्रॉब्लम इन taking, accepting that as something which is important. And I think we should be fine if we are able to start taking actions, right, rather than just conversations. So I think we are past conversations as far as the sector goes.
Moving forward, you have led a team before. Currently, also you are doing the same. What is your secret to keep them happy, to keep them motivated?
So Vikas, all the things that I just spoke about, right? When you look at in an organization, एक कहावत है that culture eats strategy for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So strategic thought processes, strategies, senior leadership, boardrooms में जितनी मर्जी बना सकती है, right? Where it gets played out is through that entire organization's staff and employee base, right from the guy who's at the base of the pyramid to the person who is leading the organization. Right? A cultural context से ही बाकी सब चीज़ें आएंगी. And if it is about, for example, our value structure, we talk about at Vedatya, we talk about compassionate leadership. We look for excellence in everything that we want to do. So organizations will have their own value structure, problem solving attitude. So things that you value, वो पूरी organization की culture को set करता है. उस culture के अंदर अगर बराबरी है, humility है, you actually care for each other across levels, then we have almost no attrition. The average tenure of people at this place is over 9 years. अगर सारे employees के tenures को मैं multiply करूँगा तो जो average आएगी हमारी वो 8 और 9 साल के बीच में आएगी. कुछ के ज़्यादा हैं, कुछ के कम हैं. So if you just add and divide to get that average number, that is the tenure that people give us. And we've gone through phases. In COVID में ऐसा challenging phase था. There were periods where people struggled financially. We did not lose anyone. So it's not answering your question. It's not just about me. It's about ownership. उनका thought process क्या है, right? So if they have a thought process, usually the person, the employee who is at the senior most position can only deliver with everything that I spoke about if the ownership's orientation is that. Otherwise वो नहीं करेगा. दो चीज़ें होंगी, या तो he'll just fall into place, right? Even though internally he may agree or disagree, he'll fall into place because उसे अपनी job protect करनी है, या वो job छोड़ देगा. So in other words, या bargain करोगे या आप चले जाओगे. Very rarely you have a place where you can do everything that you want to do, and because the orientation for that cultural context comes from the ownership. So I think I've been very fortunate in wherever I've worked. I think more so in my experience in US, but I wouldn't be working in an organization for 20 years if all of that was not my privilege. So I think that's where it comes from. And any organization that's built like that will be fine, and I think will build tenures. सारी वो चीज़ें जो हैं वो मिलेंगी. But I think it comes about the more senior position you are in, it's yours. You are in service. It's your job to serve, right? And serve humbly. And if you can do that, I'm pretty sure that the organization, your peers, your subordinates, everyone will come around that ideology and that thought process that let's do something good, let's do something value adding, and we are enabled and empowered to do that. वो कल्चर से आता है.
सर, आपने यूएस में भी काम किया है और इंडिया में भी काम किया है. सो इन योर एक्सपीरियंस सबसे ज़्यादा गेस्ट डिमांडिंग कहाँ के हैं, यूएस के और इंडिया के?
सो व्हेन आई लेफ्ट इंडिया, सो आई थिंक यहाँ इंडियन गेस्ट यूज्ड टू बी वेरी डिमांडिंग. सो वहाँ मेरे को बड़ा लगा कि ये तो इनफैक्ट आई to a point where I felt that this is quite unique, that there is a level of I'll not use the word casual, but I think the customers are more understanding, more accepting. Today I think what has happened is अब हमने the quality parameters of our service and I think some aspects around the people challenge what has happened is that the quality expectancy that customers today have versus 30 years back, it has dropped to a point where if I was sitting in a restaurant 30 years back at a 5-star hotel or a 5-star deluxe hotel, it would be impossible to not have service staff be in eye contact, right? The level of service, the speed of service, even the basic stuff was in banquets, I think, very different, and the customers demanded that also. Today, I think when I have candid conversations with friends who are from the industry, and you are even in sitting in a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant, you are happy अगर उसने आपका ऑर्डर ठीक ले लिया और वो एक सीक्वेंस में ठीक ले आए, तो the expectancy has dropped because I think we have kind of gotten used to the fact that this is the best that can come through. The service levels have dropped and we have accepted that. So as customers हमने सबने accept कर लिया है. You could be sitting at and I'm not being specific about any brand. ये सभी के लिए and everyone speaks about that. The reason that has happened is because there is more churn, the warm body syndrome that we talk about. The fix, of course, is to try and get the service standards up. But answering your question, the Indian customer is actually not demanding that much in comparison to what we would have to deliver a couple of decades back. US, I think it has, I don't know, I'm not seen beyond my time there, so I don't know where that stands today, but at least it used to be less demanding when I moved in early 2000 to the time I headed back. But यहाँ तो अब I think customers' expectations have nosedived, accept करते हैं.
And sir, tough क्या है? होटल ऑपरेशंस रन करना या कॉलेज के स्टूडेंट्स को संभालना?
So I think they both are different and challenging in their own ways, but if I were to express that in a little different way, I think faculty members, trainers, educators need to carry the weight of the fact that what you do affects somebody's next generation. So when I look at young people in conversations or in the journey that they're having, and I say this to my team as well, right? If somebody's son or daughter did not get the right counseling, if somebody's son or daughter needed help, reached out and we were not there, if the level of training we provided was substandard, if we shortchanged them in any way, you're not just affecting the person, you're affecting somebody's next generation. It is different from what would happen if I'm running a hotel and a customer got bad service. I've only affected him or her. And compare that with the fact that you are turning around lives. So the question is, what business are you in? So we are not in the business of just training young people to become hospitality professionals, chefs or F&B professionals or front office professionals or so on and so forth. We have a job to get them life ready. And when I say life ready, उसमें career भी आएगा, बाकी aspects भी आएंगे, right? And a lot of times, you have to exercise a lot of care. Sometimes, despite all your experience, you can go wrong, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen, right? So you cannot misread this obligation, and you should always carry that weight on your shoulders. This is how I compare the two roles. So I think it is way more, the sanctity of the role is way more demanding.
सर, बहुत लोगों का ये मानना है कि जो इंडिया में हॉस्पिटैलिटी एजुकेशन है ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स के साथ अगर उसको कंपेयर किया जाता है तो आउटडेटेड है. व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दिस?
I don't think I'm an expert to answer this question with the level of conviction that I would have wanted to, but as much as I know, I think we have comparable standards. If anything, I think I'll give an example. Our airports today have better standards and facilities and infrastructure than a lot of airports in US today or anywhere in Europe. I'm pretty sure as a physical asset, some of our new properties, they're fantastic. So I think we have the same tech tools available. So I think we have comparable standards, if not better. So I don't think we will be able to, or I will be able to say more in terms of more specifics, but that's my larger sense that broadly speaking, I think we have very high standards. The difference in the service standard, right, is there, which I mentioned, and I think that's a people's challenge. So that there are implications in terms of how seriously we take learning and development. Some brands do, some don't, right? In terms of continuous, an approach where you're continuously supporting people to improve their the skill set. Internal transfers, movements, enabling career paths, ये सब चीज़ें I think they do a better job in possibly the Western context. We can do more there, and I think in terms of even the fact that in most of the reason where I think the challenge for us is a little stronger or harsher than some of these contexts is there's kids who are 16 and a half, 17. I think if I remember correctly, 17 years और 2 या 3 महीने की एज पे आप 4 या 6 घंटे दिन में काम कर सकते हो यूएस के लॉ के हिसाब से. एंड आई थिंक मोमेंट यू टर्न 18 you can work full time, and it will you'll struggle to find a young person जिसने अपने वो 11वीं 12वीं वाला जो एज होता है उसमें हॉस्पिटैलिटी में काम ना किया हो. तो यू नो देव डन सर्विस, तो वो बेसिक ट्रेनिंग मिली हुई होगी उनको, वो वर्क एथिक भी बना होगा बिकॉज दे स्टार्ट अर्निंग फॉर देमसेल्व्स. वो एक कल्चरल डिफरेंस है हिंदुस्तान में और बाहर. यहाँ पे मैं कभी पूछता भी हूँ, आई गो एंड मीट स्टूडेंट्स इन स्कूल्स एंड आई ऑलवेज आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन, किसी ने पार्ट टाइम काम किया है? कोई जवाब आता ही नहीं है. तो फिर मैं हमेशा इनकरेज करके आता हूँ. वर्क स्टडी मोड है हमारे प्रोग्राम्स का. द आइडिया इज़ बिकॉज हमारे कंटेक्स्ट में नहीं पार्ट टाइम वर्क करते हैं बच्चे, पेरेंट्स ही सपोर्ट करते हैं, तो वो वर्क एथिक बना नहीं होता, सर्विस लेवल्स एक्सपीरियंस ही नहीं है. चाहे आपने बर्गर्स ही फ्लिप किए हों, यू नो, और बेसिकली यू स्टेप्ड इनटू किचन, यू पिक अप अ लॉट ऑफ स्टफ. Here we get them completely raw, right? And then on top of that, आप layer करो बाकी aspects that I mentioned, so it becomes more challenging. There it is actually quite easy. You hire somebody. It's impossible to hire somebody who has not worked in hospitality. Very rare, right? So they've had those experiences. The only thing that has changed is some of them chose it as career pathways. तो उन्होंने उसके ऊपर डिप्लोमा और या डिग्री या जो भी प्रोफेशनल क्वालिफिकेशन लेके, and now they are looking at it with a longer term perspective. But everyone has exposure to hospitality skills or service skills, largely speaking. I'm sure there are exceptions, but हमारे पास वो advantage नहीं है. वो भी build करने की ज़रूरत है, right? To tell young people, parents should say that summers में कुछ काम करो, right? So anything. I'm not saying choose only hospitality. We have these,
कुछ भी कर सकते हो.
We have these summer internship programs where kids come here, spend 5 days with us. They meet people from the industry. So I keep telling them that even if you do it and figure out ये मुझे नहीं करना, that's perfectly fine. कुछ life skills लेके आप आगे अपने साथ लेके जाओगे. But I think that should help. But essentially I think that differentiates the two dimensions.
And if you could get a chance to have a dinner with any hospitality professional or leader, who would it be, and then why would you?
So for me it would be Mr. Kerkar. So Mr. A.B. Kerkar. So he, not just because my journey started with Aurangabad, and he was instrumental in, as a managing director of Taj, he was instrumental in setting that institution. But I think what I feel was very unique about the fact that he picked up a single hotel where I think there was a narrative that the Tatas were planning. It was the only hotel that the Tatas did not even want to be in hospitality or hotel business. And a young hotel manager convinces them that, let me run this place. And without, I think, if I just go by the narratives that I've heard through my time in Taj, he built something up. And he built, I think by the time he moved out from his role, I think it was a 30-40 hotel business. So I think created something very, very unique, and I think a very powerful personality. I had an interaction. So when I was awarded my medal as I passed out, it was awarded by him. I still have a picture with Mr. Kekar. So I've always looked up to him from a perspective of the vision that the man had and what he created. So I would love to. He would be a hotelier that I would love to sit down with if I had a chance.
Moving towards थोड़ा सा exciting part of the podcast,
Sure.
which we call it rapid fire round. Gift hamper मैं दूंगा नहीं sir. But as you know, I say a word, you give me the very shorter answer.
Sure.
Taj or Aramak, where did you learn more?
Aramak.
One student who made you proud.
So 20 years, this is a very hard one. There will be few names that come to my mind for different reasons. Shrey Madan created this brand called Burgrill. Kaveri Vij, a young lady, runs an events management company. Tarun Javalikar runs so he's a F&B leader in Middle East. Who else? So there are a lot of these names that come to my mind. The reason there are many, and if I spend 5 more minutes, I think there's going to be plenty more, sheerly because of the number of years and the number of batches that I've gone through. So Deepesh Sethi, I think I'm exceptionally proud of the fact. So he was area GM with Radisson Edwardian Groups, took a call to go all in and set up his own restaurant in London.
Wow.
So so there's a bunch of these names that will keep crossing my mind. So I'm exceptionally proud of the journeys they've had. Kanika actually heads our marketing. We are one of her accounts. So went to Cornell, is a leader in SEO space. So different areas they picked up, but some of these names come to my mind.
I think it's my fault. I should have put it not in the rapid fire, but I'm sure considering your career, 30 plus years, I'm sure there would be many more.
Far too many.
But chaliye, moving forward, dream hotel you'd love to run as a GM?
So Fort Aguada Beach Resort and Taj Holiday Village. So I would love to be an area general manager and run that hotel resort.
Done. Just to let you know, we also had featured Miss Megha. Okay. She is the current, probably youngest GM of Taj.
Awesome.
Yes. Your go-to comfort food after a long day?
So now I've turned vegan some 6 months back. So it's down to a sandwich or a soup now. But essentially my comfort food is Punjabi khana.
One book you recommend to every hotel management student?
So I read this book which talks about Steve Jobs' journey. And I think it puts a perspective. It is not focused on hospitality, but I think it brings a perspective on understanding of life. Right? And for any individual to understand that they have to take a call in terms of what they value, what is important to them, and to see if they are able to find balance. और वो हर इंसान को अपने लिए खुद ही ढूंढना है. So I think that's something that stands out and I recommend.
One hospitality myth you want to break?
I wish this was still not a myth, but at some level it is, that the industry is not safe for women. It is absolutely safe, and I think I can stand by that. Industry can stand by that, I think, but this is a myth that needs to be broken.
If not hospitality, what career would you have chosen?
So, investment banker.
Coffee with a student or cocktail with a hotel GM?
Student. Coffee with a student.
ठीक है. So just to surprise you, I have visited your classrooms.
Okay.
और मैंने स्टूडेंट से एक ऑप्शन दिया था कि मेरे कंधे के ऊपर रखकर अगर आपके ऊपर कोई भी वो गोलियां चलाना चाहते हैं तो ये है वो गोलियां।
अच्छा।
उन्होंने मुझे लिख कर दे दी हैं। सो ये क्वेश्चंस मेरे नहीं हैं, ये
Okay.
आपके स्टूडेंट्स के हैं, विच दे वांटेड टू आस्क यू,
Okay.
राइट, विच आई एम हैप्पी टू डू।
I thought I was very accessible.
चलिए ठीक है,
देखते हैं
आपके सामने है सर।
देखते हैं।
ऑलराइट सर, व्हाट्स योर फेवरेट कॉलेज स्पॉट?
मेरा यहाँ पे
जी जी यहीं पे।
लाइब्रेरी।
कौन जाएगा सर?
It still continues to be my favorite spot.
चलिए सर, डू यू सी AI creating new job in the industry rather than just eliminating old ones?
So I see them changing job roles. So in fact, in some job roles, like I had mentioned when we were chatting, so the job roles will become meatier. The tasks which technology can do, we will let technology do that, so that we can do much more in terms of the service that we offer. So job roles evolve कर जाएंगे, change कर जाएंगे. Elimination का तो मतलब ही नहीं बनता. But I think it will be fantastic that you will be able to focus on more valuable things which only a human being can do. So I think that's what, and that's where the opportunity lies also, in my opinion.
How should hospitality students balance learning traditional skills with AI-driven innovations?
So again, I think in our conversation this came up. So anything, a lot of things in life, they are pretty much like a double-edged sword. So उसके benefits भी हैं, so and there are disadvantages also, or things to avoid. AI is no different. So I think as long as we are careful in picking up aspects which work or which help us do more and better, we can do that. But if we use it in a manner where it impairs our learning, उसको avoid करें. I'll give an example. So for years, I think each time a budget comes out, I do a session with students talking about कि budget में क्या क्या बोला गया. So this was a year where I used, I'm forgetting the name of the app, I think it was a DeepSeek, I think Chinese product है. DeepSeek had just come out a week back. तो मैंने just to have fun, I asked DeepSeek to create a presentation on Indian union budget. और वो seconds के अंदर आया. I wanted to have it in a presentation form में. So I was able to get 90% of what I needed in seconds. But I also recognized that I will still choose what I want to use, what I don't want to use. And if intellectually I don't understand what is there, it will still be meaningless. So the work that should and could have been done by technology was the only use I had for the tool. Other than that, I think which saved my time, what I did do was I used that time to reflect more, think more, analyze what is there. So वो सारा time मैंने better value adding aspects पे लगा के, hopefully the session was a stronger and a more interactive or a more value adding session. So if I apply the same logic to a student, so if I'm asking you to write a reflective का मतलब है आप reflect करोगे. अब आप reflect करने की जगह you can immediately cook up something, submit that, potentially like I mentioned, today anti-plagiarism tools, we used to use Turnitin, we still use a tool, right? So the tools are also going to fail. While a student may feel that he's gotten some work through quickly, you are actually hurting yourself. So you don't want to hurt your learning. So वो जो thought process है ना कि कहाँ value है और कहाँ वो आपको या आपकी learning को negatively impact कर रहा है, वो समझ होनी ज़रूरी है. In fact, we are already engaging in terms of changing some of our processes. तो इस साल से मैं reflectives typewritten soft में नहीं ले रहा. So in a class I'm teaching to our business students, I've asked them, I want handwritten. Why? Because I want you to think and I want you to write for the simple reason that I don't want you to use a tool. So that's I think where my answer would be that उसको अपनी strength बनाओ, उसको अच्छी purpose के लिए use करो, but use it, so be smart about it, but remember that it needs to help you do more and be more, not otherwise.
The next question is, how can students build strong professional network while still in college?
The process of networking is not quid pro quo. So a lot of times people feel that your network means that मैं आज विकास के लिए कुछ करूँगा तो कल विकास मेरे लिए कुछ करेगा. Good, deep and wide networks don't get built like that. I think they get built with, if I give it a philosophical spin, I think there's this concept of paid forward. All of us have been beneficiaries of people doing good things for us, helping us, being kind, enabling, opening doors for us. So at some point in time, you reach a point where you can do the same. You can't do it for the person who did for you, but you can pay it forward. So that orientation amongst peers, across different levels. So as you interact and meet with people, meet with honesty, meet with sincerity, connect with that intent, but don't look at it from a shallow point of view of that, what do I need from this guy? That's not how life always works. Right? That's a very, very limited approach. So networking is fantastic. In fact, I was mentioning this to a group of students that especially when the job market is weak, US is going through that, a lot of countries are going through that, your networking kicks in.
All right, sir. Next question is, as we know, you are in hospitality industry. So would you suggest your children to be in this industry from initial stage, or you want your child to continue your empire?
So both, so I have twin sons, both of them showed interest in hospitality, but I think, and they actually did internships here at Vedatya. And they picked up a lot of life skills. My wife's an architect, so I think in terms of their interest, one of them chose to pursue computer science. So he's graduating in December, and the other one looked at 3D digital design. So they carved different directions, but they did explore hospitality, and I absolutely recommended. While they were studying in US, both of them have worked in hospitality there in part-time jobs, even though their career direction is going to be different.
All right, sir. ये बहुत tricky question है. मैं सच में बोल रहा हूँ, ये मेरा suggestion नहीं था. Sir, if you get better opportunity in hotel industry, will you rejoin the industry?
So it's a fantastic question, and I'll tell you, even till date, whenever I've visited a hotel, especially if I go into the back areas, आज भी मेरा मन करता है कि मैं वापस इंडस्ट्री में जाऊं और काम करूं. I think in the age bracket that I am in and the direction in life, शायद ऐसा होगा नहीं, लेकिन आवाज़ मन में अभी भी आती है जब भी जाता हूँ.
ठीक है सर. This is also an interesting one. If you had to trade places with a student for one day, what would you do first?
अरे ये तो बहुत disappoint हो जाएंगे सुन के. So I think spend a lot of time in the library. मेरी happy place है वो. So I think I still love to read a lot. Though and sometimes I'm surprised कि जब भी आप लाइब्रेरी में जाते हो वो through the years, and I think I understand digitization की वजह से lot of information is available digitally, but अभी भी at least मुझे personally to sit in a library surrounded by all those learning resources, it's still something that I love doing. तो अगर मैं एक दिन के लिए student होता तो outside of classes or practicals, I was in library. I used to do that in US also.
Done, sir. Seeing the professors here, this ignite us to be joining as a faculty here. Is it possible for us to join, and would you select us?
So I think we have had many examples of our alumni working in the industry and coming and teaching us. In fact, as we speak, our bakery classes are being taken by Aradhya. So she's an alumni. She worked in the US with a Michelin star chef, and after having spent some time in the industry, she was on a break, and we invited her to spend a semester with us. There have been others. The only thing that I suggest and mention is that before you feel you are ready to give back or be a trainer, be ready for knowledge and skill transfer, just make sure that you've spent enough time in the industry, you've tested yourself, you've grown in the industry. So my recommendation is spend about 8 to 10 years, and उसके बाद आपको अगर लगता है कि आप operations में या if you there is a calling So don't choose to cross over the fence for any other reasons but the fact that that's something that you love and you want to do, not because you want to take a easier life, because trust me, the life of a faculty member is not all that easy as it may look to you. So spend time in the industry. Yes, we'll be very happy to consider you, but do that when you know that you are ready to be a role model, be ready to offer value to the students. So I think that's important.
Last question आपके स्टूडेंट से, सर यू हैव परस्यूड 5-6 degrees. What inspired you to join hospitality, and what are your future plans after retiring from here?
So I think when I mentioned a couple of times that library and the learning spaces are off, I love them, and I think I still love to spend some time. I always felt that the more value that you add to yourself, it doesn't just drive your career pathway. I think it helps you also understand where you want to go. So I've done that through my life, and I've done, even while I was working, I was lucky to get opportunities to keep adding qualifications, but the qualifications add value only if you do it with an intent and purpose. A lot of times people consider adding those qualifications just because everybody else is doing. तो मैंने ऐसा कभी सोच के नहीं किया कि मुझे, so whenever I felt that, so for example, I did a master's in tourism because there were courses that were coming our way, and I figured that somebody needs to be specialized in that. Purpose होना चाहिए, intent होना चाहिए, and I think lifelong learning का मतलब ही ये है, and it doesn't have to be formal degree qualifications. These days हमारे time में नहीं थे उतने means. There are lots of these short-term certificate programs. You figure out, what you like, and it could be something completely disconnected with what you do. वो भी आप कर सकते हो, but I think the orientation should be that.
Done, sir. The last question, and what message you would like to give via our platform, via HospeTalk? So for 3, basically, what would you say, or what would be your message to hotel management students? What would be your message for hospitality professionals? What would be your message to senior leaders in the industry?
So I'll start with students.
Yes,
so I think what I would say to you is stay the course. Right? So you have chosen a pathway, stay the course, work hard, and I think if you do just this, you will realize that there's so much that is ahead of you. It will get lined up. So just stay the course, stay focused, and you'll do really great. The second group that you mentioned was people working in the industry. I think for them, you be the change agent. Right? So in your journey, you would have experiences that were great, positive. You may have a lot of experiences that you wouldn't want somebody else to have. You be the change agent. So in fact, the more senior you get, the more empowered you get in an ecosystem. You have that ability, you have that power to influence young people who are choosing to come in as interns or as apprentices. So I think if we have to bring in change, it's always going to be about what you are going to do about it. So you have more ability to bring that change that you thought. Be that change.
And to the leaders.
So to the leaders, and there's a lot of folks who are way more senior, way more accomplished than me. So I think very humbly, the only thing that I can request or put forward for them is that we need to walk the talk. Right? So there is so much of conversation. Everyone understands the issues. Everyone understands the challenges. It's for folks who are in these senior leadership roles, who have spent much more time in the industry than I have, that if you walk the talk, I think the color of the industry and the pathway that it creates for young people can be way more different. And I think it'll be great if before I end my career journey, if I'm able to see that change. So from a from a position where we are trying to figure out how do we attract more talent to abundance of talent. So I think if over the next decade we can achieve that, that'll be awesome. So that'll be my hope and request for all the people who are in those positions of influence in the sector.
Very nice, sir. Very well said. Once again, thank you so much. Young hoteliers की तरफ से, hospitality professionals की तरफ से, hospitality leaders की तरफ से, that you've shared your wisdom, your stories with us. We wish you the continued success, and really thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Vikas, for the opportunity and the time. And hopefully, I was able to provide a sensible perspective which is of some value.
No, absolutely you did, sir.
To folks who listen. I loved spending the time that I did with you. Thank you once again, and great that you could come and meet us at Vedatya again.
Thank you, sir.